Let's fight. A very good evening to all of you, whether you're joining us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Let's fight. Let's get right to it. Some breaking news as we come on. Sharon's Mall building in Regent and King Street there in downtown Georgetown, here in Guyana, is on fire at the moment. I advise that the police are on the scene and are monitoring what is happening there, folks. And we want to bring you some of those images. As you share the live stream, we want to bring you some of those images from the Sharon's Building Mall there in downtown Georgetown. And let me get that up for you. That is the Sharon's Building Mall there in downtown Georgetown. And we are going to have the very latest for you guys this evening. As we come on, we encourage you guys to share the live stream as per normal. And we're going to have some more information on this fire that has gutted Sharon's Mall building there in King Street and Regent Street. It's between Charlotte and Regent in King Street. And we're going to bring you the latest on what has been happening down there. Again, folks, as we come on this evening, a bit of breaking news. This is the Sharon's Mall building in downtown Georgetown. And this is where ground zero at the moment. And we're going to have a little more information during our program on what transpired there. And we are picking this feed up from News Source. We're picking this feed up from News Source. Again, Sharon's Building Mall there in downtown Georgetown between Charlotte and Regent Street in King Street. That's where Sharon's Building Mall is located. And again, thank you guys for joining us in the ring this evening. And we're going to have, I'm getting several very, very sad reports as pertains to the police, the fire service in particular, their response to this fire. From some indications and some report, this fire could have been avoidable had the police, had the fire service, the Guyana Fire Service, responded more promptly to what has been, to what happened here this afternoon. But again, I'm going to have some more information on this a little later on in the program. But we just wanted to bring you some of the pictures out of what has been happening there in downtown Georgetown. Again, in King Street, the Sharon's Building Mall was gutted by fire. And this video footage is compliments of News Source. We're picking it up from them and following what has been or what is happening there. So we want to thank you guys for joining us at home here in Guyana and also in the diaspora internationally. So again, for those of you who are joining us, welcome in the ring. We are giving you some of the footage out of the Sharon's Building Mall area there, downtown Georgetown, where this fire would have gutted the building for all intents and purposes and for the information that we have at hand. And we're going to bring you just a minute or two more of this footage. Again, we are picking this up out of News Source, and then we're going to get some more information for you guys later on in the evening. Thank you again for joining In the Ring, where we promote the truth and we defend the facts. And for those of you who might be now joining us, we encourage you guys to share our live stream. What you're viewing here is what transpired or what is transpiring currently in Regent and Charlotte Street in King Street. The Sharon's Building Mall was gutted by fire. The fire started a little later on, a little earlier this afternoon. And as you can see, the fire service is on the scene there and trying to take control of that blaze. Great. I'm gonna get to regular programming in just a few minutes, but we couldn't come on without bringing this breaking news as it happens here in downtown Georgetown for those persons who were joining us from perhaps another part of the country, and for those of you joining us from in the diaspora and internationally. Yep. So again, for those of you who are now joining us, these are images from downtown Georgetown. This is King Street in between Charlotte and Regent Street at the Sharon's Mall building. As if you know the geography down there, it's uh, just a little close to Acme area there. And behind Sharon's building mall, you have another office building, I think, and then you are on to City Hall. And so quite a few businesses that ply their trade in the Sharon's building mall, as you can tell, and nearby businesses as well. And some reports indicate that this could have been an avoidable blaze to the extent we are witnessing currently, but we're going to hold and get some additional information on that. Guys, again, welcome in the ring, and we are bringing you these live images out of News Source, and we are so grateful. Compliments of News Source, again, with the Sharon's Mall building there in Regent and Charlotte Street, between Regent and Charlotte Street in King Street in downtown Georgetown, the national capital city of Guyana, for those of you who are joining us in the diaspora and internationally. And those are the images we have for you at this time. And we are going to we're going to come back with some more information on this a little later on in the evening. Good. Very good night to all of those persons who are joining us. I see Shelley Hoyt and Abigail Jordan Smith and Brenda Braffett, Mavis Henry, Sandra Hanover. I see Marilyn Britton. And I do have my colleague Randolph Critchlow, who is going to be joining me and to talk a little bit about this fire here and among other issues. And I do have also with me this evening, privileged to have Mr. Garvin Blackman out of the Bahamas. This is our diaspora evening, believe it or not. And we are going to, yeah, we are going to have some more of these images as we go. Let me bring on both Garvin and Randy and get some sense of what is happening here. Yeah. Randy, a very good evening.
Hi, good
Welcome.
evening, Sharon. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I haven't been in the ring for a while, but it's quite sad that I'm here tonight witnessing what I'm seeing. It's you, Sharon. You know why I say this? When I came out to my show this afternoon at about 6 o'clock, a little before that, I saw this news break about the Sharon's Mall, and it's quite interesting, Sharon. At 5:30, the fire tenders were out at Sharon's Mall, and you barely saw smoke coming from the building. Fast forward to 7:30 minutes to 8 is what we're seeing. It is the question that I want to ask here is what were they doing between 5:30 and 7:30? 2 hours of the fire, people out there where you weren't seeing any smoke. You know, I really feel for those small business people, Sharon, who have their little corner in Sharon's Mall, who decided one woman was basically in tears saying that look, she she just started her business. She spent some $9 million to open up a little store in there that's selling printers. And you have to ask the question of what was happening between 5:30 when it was You can see it. The picture is there. They were parked outside of Sharon's mall. Smoke was barely coming out of the building. 5:30, fast forward to 7:30, and this is what we're seeing. Sharon, this is quite unacceptable. I don't know the details of it, but just on basic the information that we're getting from the news, this is quite an unacceptable situation.
Randy, what I was about to ask is if you have any details as to why those fire tenders might have been sitting there and not trying to
They,
not let the fire escalate to where we see it currently.
well, apparently they weren't just sitting there. They were trying to investigate and see where the fire was coming from. The reports were that the fire was on the second floor. And so when they were trying to get into the building, and they were equipped with their oxygen tanks and their masks, and they were trying to figure out the origin of the fire. I'm looking at a picture right now shared from this is Demerara Waves, right? This was posted 2 hours ago. Right? Robert is saying the fire tenders they reached there. The engines reached there about 5:30, and between then and 7:30 they were unable to contain the fire. My thoughts are with those persons here. As I look at this, I can imagine myself as a small business owner renting a space in Sharon's Mall, and waking up to this news, or being told that look, Sharon's Mall is on fire, and you're thinking about your business that you just invested in. Those people who have jobs there, you know, and I feel it because it seems as though, and I mean, I don't want to cast blame here or to accuse the fire service of not doing what it's supposed to do. But you have to ask a question as to why you were parked there at 5:30. You reached on the scene at 5:30, and at 7:30, especially when there's photographic evidence to show at 5:30 there wasn't any fire coming out of any window. There was smoke coming out of the windows. To this, it's as if you shouldn't bother calling them. Apparently, I am just sad to see what is happening here. It's sad. Yeah. Sure, your mic is on.
Randy, I'm just asking if you can stay with us and let us
Yeah.
mute our mics when we're not talking because we're trying to avoid any kind of feedback. Garvin, what are your thoughts out of the Bahamas witnessing this in downtown Georgetown?
Wow. Sharon, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Juretha, Randy. I hope you guys are having. Well, I don't think I should say I hope you're having a pleasant evening after witnessing this. Witnessing this at the moment. Um, it's quite it's quite chilling to just sit and look at the blaze and how the fires engulfed that building. I mean, listening from what Randy was saying that this fire started 5:30. When he said that, I was like, wow, how could this fire start 5:30 and still blazing like this after 8 o'clock? And if there was smoke at 5:30 and persons could have barely seen smoke emanating from the building, probably not even seeing any smoke emanating at some point in time, but they knew that there was some sort of fire there. I'm wondering how did it get to this? So I have a lot of question marks up in my head right about now. So yeah.
Sharon, just for some context, I think I'm sharing here. You can share that screen with the picture of at 5:30, around 5:30, 5:35 time. And so the audience can get an idea of what the building looked like at that point in time. I think it's
Yeah.
there.
One second, Randy.
Mhm.
Let me try to share it.
Yeah, right. So let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit so persons can see what the building looks like. If we can come in some more and then come up. Right. So this was the building at 5:30. As you can see very clearly, As you can see
Wow.
very clearly, the fire tenders are parked out there. It seems that have one man is on the ledge, but you can hardly see any smoke coming out of this building. You can hardly see
Wow.
any smoke
Wow.
coming out of this building. So what were they doing from this point in time to 7:30? Why were they not able to contain the fire? Those are the questions that need to be answered. It is quite
Well, you
strange.
can't contain a fire if nothing is existing here. 5:30 is very clear. It's very, very clear here.
Hmm.
So the Ghana Fire Service will have some explanation to give to this nation.
Yeah, that is quite unbelievable, Sharon.
Juretha,
But
what are your thoughts?
Good night, Sharon. Good night, everyone. The photo that you pulled up a few seconds ago, that's what I saw at the beginning, and I can tell when I saw it, I said, "Wow, there." I know that there was damages already done, but at least the fire service is there, and they're going to get it under control to contain the situation. So at this point in time, to see what became of that fire after we everyone believed that it was simple to be contained, and I saw the some of the persons that occupied space within the mall. One woman was actually saying that she went in when she got there. She was allowed to go into the building and get out some items. That's how safe it was at that point in time. So to see it move from that level of safety that you're allowing persons to go in and remove things from the space that they occupy to what we're looking at right now is just insane. And this requires a full investigation. How is it that the fire service was on the scene that early, and this is what is the results right now? A full investigation needs to be launched into this. I feel horrible for all the persons that would have lost so much property in there. I mean, compounded with the mental stress of even getting themselves together after this. It's crazy, and questions need to there are tons of questions right now, and those questions need to be answered. Persons cannot just be left with unanswered question as to what went on there. That is insane.
Also, I think what's interesting too, the main um, fire service hub, it's right there by Stabrook Market Square. It's a stone throw away from where Sharon's Mall is. It isn't 10 miles. I don't even think it's 3 proper miles from where Sharon's Mall is. So it's be very interesting to see why this fire escalated from where we could see no flames emanating from the building at around 5:30, where Randy showed those images with a very calm King Street between Charlotte and Regent Street, to this huge blaze that we're now witnessing here. It'll be quite interesting to hear the explanation coming out of the Guyana Fire Service. Guys?
Sharon, we may probably at some point in time figure out what happened, and it may be that the fire service, they weren't equipped to deal with that particular type of fire in terms of where the fire was situated in the building, or where the fire was emanating from, or where it originated. It may be that it proved very difficult, but your concerns were also the court that is right across the road from that building. And Sharon, you spoke about the proximity of the fire station to Sharon's Mall. I don't even feel some mild, Sharon. But this should not be surprising. I remember some years back, Royal Castle that was right at the opposite the Linden Bus Park, opposite Parliament at the back. Which, if you stand at Royal Castle and you look across the road, you will see the fire station literally across the road, and that burned to the ground. So, you know, I don't think the proximity matters because they were on scene on time. But the question everybody will ask is between 5:30 to 7:30. What were you doing? Yeah, you had gasoline instead of water in the tank. I don't understand. It is so strange, so strange. And as I said, maybe the fire service may come out sometime and explain the situation to us, and we can have a better understanding of the difficulties they would have faced when they reached there.
Randy, please stay with us as we continue to monitor what is happening there, and if we get any any additional information. My thoughts and concern, and I am certain yours as well, as Randy mentioned earlier, the other businesses that sublet space in Sharon's Mall. I'm thinking of employees in this COVID pandemic and being out of a job now. That's going to be quite something for them. And so my thoughts are with them and their families, because it's already, tremendous hardship having to work through COVID, the impact on businesses, small businesses, large businesses, and then to be doubly impacted with, this kind of setback is going to be, nothing short of, ginormous, to coin a word, on their on them as individuals, and then on their families who might be depending on them as breadwinners and all of that in this pandemic. So that is what my thought is on.
But
That's
not
it.
some.
I hope, Sharon, I hope that the business there has some form of fire insurance coverage, so that they can recoup some of they can have compensation for the losses. I only hope that that is the case there.
Well, I was actually looking at it, looking at what's going on right now. Is it's hard to have any confidence that they have it under control at this point, so that it does not spread to the other buildings as well. Because as we're looking at it right now, that's the main concern at this moment, with the buildings entirely engulfed. What is going on with the buildings nearby? What are they doing to make sure that it doesn't spread? Because I was under the impression, like I said, that they had it under control from the beginning, and they didn't. So what's going on with the buildings nearby? How are they dealing with that? That situation is horrible right now.
Randy?
I'm still expressing my disbelief, Sharon, but I know, I know that more information will come. I want to reserve any sort of criticism or judgment till we get more information as to what was the situation faced when they reach there. But you have to feel for those business people, those small business people, those micro enterprises that are now trying a little startup thing, renting space in Sharon's Mall to get a little business up. I mean, think about all of those lawyers' offices that are there, and think about the documentation, those important. I'm just throwing out things here. What ifs? What about those documents and those lawyers dealing with the cases and stuff? It is quite a sad situation, quite a sad situation playing out there, and it is made even sadder. It's even worse to think that the fire service were there on time. That is the critical issue here. They were there on scene before this got out of hand. And I am hoping that the explanation that is given by the fire service is one that we can be comfortable with. To say, you know what, there were some real extenuating circumstances that caused us not to be able to contain this fire. I am waiting to hear those explanations.
Guys, let us turn our attention as we monitor what's happening here in downtown Georgetown between Charlotte and Regent Street in King Street, this fire Sharon's Mall building, to a very important press conference that the Ali regime held today. I think it's the first time Ali's facing the press one. We're still waiting to see cabinet briefings start. But I think was his first, perhaps, solo press conference. He's always accompanied by the vice president. And I want to, play a section of that press conference and get your response. This is Lisa Hamilton from Village Voice asking about the administration response to the nurses' protest in Linden. Let's take a listen, and then I'd love to gauge your response on the other side.
Sharon, I don't think there's any song coming from the clip.
No sound. Let me try to rectify that. Guys, I'm going to try to rectify that. Let me try to rectify that. But overall thoughts, Randy and Juretha, if you may have had a chance to view the press conference.
I I make it my duty to actually look at these press conferences. We have Mr. Ali going out there as the president of Guyana and making statements addressing the media, and I make it my duty to listen to what is said. Today, it was a bit torturing to go through the entire press conference because there was so much arrogance that was displayed, a lot of pettiness, things that we do not expect from any head of state. Again, I say that share this. Guyana is on the world map like never before. Representation from our head of state need to be on par. We did not see that. We have never seen that coming from this administration. And today was just a typical example of that. And I believe that clip that you are going to play there. I hope you're getting it out because I believe that that was one of the typical example of the arrogance that was displayed. So I'm hoping that you get that up and running with the song.
Sh-
Let me see if we have it now.
Share that as you get that, and we hope that we get to hear it. Yes, go ahead.
Nurses of then have been striking for several weeks in relation to poor working conditions, and they felt disrespected by the CEO there. Why would you say there seems to be a reluctance on the government's part to meet with the nurses and address their concerns? Has the government has had a chance to review their concerns?
Um, you said that there was not a willingness on the part of government to meet with the nurses. And you said that government did not review the concerns and unwillingness to review the concerns of the nurses. Both are factually incorrect. Both are factually incorrect. Both the premise on your question are factually incorrect. Because if you even follow the news, you would see that both the Ministry of Labor and Ministry of Health were actively engaged on this matter. And there is a certain procedure that has to be followed at the Ministry of Labor. And work working condition. We're trying to improve the condition of work all over the country. Linden is one of the hospitals that is up for improvement. But I don't know that this is the reason they're striking. That was not the impression I got because nothing has changed 9 months ago to now in terms of the work condition. For a matter of fact, it got better because they have access to protective gear and everything now. So I don't know. Now you're bringing information, uh, new information to me. But if you can tell me what has changed in their work condition 9 months
What are your
ago and
thoughts, guys?
now,
Sharon, can I go? Can I go?
Go right ahead, Randy. Unpack.
Now, let me just skip past the fact that the man rolled out the bed in the pajamas and come to do this press conference. Let me just forget that and move on to the factually incorrect things. um, Seriously, today on the Rush, I interviewed Vice Chair for Region Number 10, Mr. Douglas Gittins, and he made it very clear that he doesn't know which planet the president is living on or which country is the pre. I show you, he doesn't know whether he's the president of this country because he is saying that things have improved at the Linden Hospital. And Mr. Douglas, Mr. Gittins went to the hospital a few days ago, and he told me a very harrowing story about a man who came in with an injury, a cutlass chop, and had to endure being stitched up without any anesthetic, any way, what was the thing you call it, man? These pain reliever things, whatever they call it, the fancy name. And so he recounted the fact that this hospital didn't even got basic things like toilet paper. Let's not even deal with Rudy Small, that they have refused to move him and the nurses continue to call. But I am wondering, since this man was in his pajamas when he was dreaming, that's why I wonder. He probably was in a deep dream and wandered and sleepwalked out into the press conference because, and he was probably still dreaming. Because I don't know what he's talking about. Sharon.
Sure, this is I don't think it could get any worse than it was today, to be honest with you. It was embarrassing. It was the poorest representation that you can have from head of state for Guyana. Like Randy is rightly saying, on that specific question, but I hope you have the beginning of that clip when Lisa Hamilton actually stood up to ask her a question, because his response to her is like Village Voice, you guys are online, and then she's like, she responded to him in a very professional tone, because all who knows Hamilton knows that she's an excellent reporter. Now she said we're in print every Sunday, and his response to her was, oh, you should send me a copy. Now that level of nonsense, I looked at it and I just shook my head, because anybody that knows how the government offices operate, especially the office of the president and the prime minister and so forth, every single copy of every newspaper that's printed in Guyana goes to their office, because they need to be up to date with every single thing that is being said. And now for the man,
what is interesting to me is that, unlike Irfan, Miss Hamilton didn't daydream into the press conference. You would have to be invited there, and the mere fact you invited there, there is somebody who was in the office of the president who says that you are a recognized news media, right? I don't know. The critics perhaps slip past them, but clearly.
Yeah, well, I was about to say that. Sharon, I was about to say that I don't know who is the person at the level of the office of the president who sends out invite to these media person, because what justification do you give to the Guyanese people to invite critic to the press conference as a media personnel? How does that happen? Like, I don't get it. It's as though they wanted it to be a mockery. They wanted it to be a clown show.
I want to pull in Garvin.
Sharon, I think it's more precisely a slap in the face of journalism and the professionals who are supposed to be doing their job and who are supposed to be allowed to do their job. Any man cannot walk off of the street and be allowed to enter a press conference and operate as if they're some qualified journalist, or as if they're a professional in that regard, in that trade. And so allowing somebody like Critic to be a part of that press conference, it goes to show that there isn't the level of respect that should be given to journalists in that country. And the government of the day needs to really look at that And they really need to go back to the drawing board and examine what they're doing there, because you are
Precisely, precisely.
you are simply watering down the profession when you're gonna just throw anybody in the mix. This is not an in the mix something that any and everybody can come off the road. Listen, a lot of persons have their programs, they have their shows on social media and so on, but that does not warrant them. That does not mean that they are professional journalists and all of the, and that doesn't mean that they are qualified um, to operate in that capacity. And so it's somewhat a disrespect to journalists across the country, as far as I see it, across the world. And it shows a bad picture for Guyana as a whole. You know, it shows a bad picture. But who am I to criticize that when sometime back I remember seeing a particular individual who is probably, I think, second in line after the president being interviewed by the same questionable journalist, so-called journalist.
Well,
And it was online, right? So
as Garvin is on watering down, let's turn our
Yeah.
attention to what has been transpiring, for instance, at the at Guy Oil, because they have a very watered down board, and after days and days of public pressure to have heads roll at Guy Oil board, Ali's regime seemed to have taken note of that, and he made some pronouncement during this press conference. I want us to take a listen, and we'll have some commentary on the other end of it.
We have committed to ensuring that we maximize the benefits, that we ensure that wherever there are areas that we look at to maximize our benefits, those areas will be looked at. There was no
Microphone, Sharon.
I think I had a wrong clip. Sorry, guys. I think I had a wrong clip there, and I'm queuing up now. What I hope is the right one. So bear with me for a second, and we're gonna have that. We're gonna have that one for you, because I want your commentary on what has transpired after days of pressure and the Ali administration now buckling under that pressure to where we are currently.
there was an evaluation, there was a performance evaluation uh, conducted, and the CEO was asked to go on leave because of performance-related matter. He subsequently resigned because of that. He stays resigned. The board member, Blair, and I've asked that the board member Blair be removed, and the staff, I think Sean Prasad, I think that staff will be removed because he was on probation. There was an evaluation, there was a performance evaluation.
Sharon,
What
let
are
me
your
just
thoughts,
say
guys?
let me just say this
Unpack,
quickly.
Randy.
Let me go back to your previous clip with and what Juretha was talking about him throwing these snide remarks at the Village Voice, right? What we're seeing here is Ali trying to pull a Donald Trump. It is a poor man version of Trump we're looking at, and trying to be combative with the media people, but it is sooty. First thing you gotta be a little articulate. He struggles to summarize what he is saying. He has vocabulary issues, as we know, outside of the wardrobe issues, and it is shocking. I mean, he's saying the CEO. It was the general manager that was sent on leave. How, Mr. President, get your facts right, at least if you want to be that way in the media.
You know
But I
who is
want to
Village Voice? You know the staff of Guy Oil?
nothing, right? everything is factually incorrect. I don't know if it's incorrect or it's factual. I really don't know. But let me say this. On a serious note, I think the president should be accountable for what he said.
Jump in, Juretha. Randy seemed to have some challenges.
I think Randy, I think the internet is saving us from Randy right now because oh my gosh, it was just listen. Sharon, let me put it like this: just to have the fact that I have to listen back to these clips is mentally draining to me. Um, we we have been, and you did an incredible job, I must say, with having the guy from Miss Aaron on the show explaining his part, the part that he played in the whole situation, and persons would have gotten very clear understanding. The man sound extremely honest with what he's saying, and persons got a better understanding of it. So for the president to come in at this point in time, and that is the poorest attempt of answering that question that you could have possibly seen. I am certain, Sharon, if you go and take a microphone down at Starbucks Market, you get a better explanation from somebody on the street. That was an extremely poor attempt to explain what is going on here. And the details all mixed up, didn't understand head from foot what he was saying, struggled to put together a proper explanation, and like I said, it was all together. It was horrible.
Garvin, what are your thoughts?
Well, Sharon, having listened to that, I'm trying to comprehend. It seems a bit confusing. I mean, in terms of the way the president is trying to deliver, it's not coherent in my view, and he's somewhat pulling for words. I am somewhat baffled. I mean, if someone is going into a press conference, questions are going to be thrown at you pertaining to the most topical issues of the day. And these are the hottest stuff, as you would have your little corner called hot topics. I'm telling you, you're sitting, you're planning a press conference. It's quite obvious that these hot topics are going to be touched. It's quite obvious that questions are going to be posed to you, and the level of preparedness is not there. Um, when you are referring to persons who are fired, who are removed, and so on, and you can't find the names, I'm wondering who removed them. who who was the
Naturally.
person behind their removal when you can't even figure out the names of the persons who are removed?
Yeah,
But
naturally. Yeah.
it really goes to show, um, in my view, the level of seriousness with which these matters are being dealt with. You know, the attention that should be given to them, I don't think the kind of attention that needs to be given to them is really given to them. And the way they're being dealt with, even with the way he answered the question, he did not answer it head on. He did not speak to the issue, so to speak. And you would have, I was listening to hear the president say something with regards to not tolerating this level of behavior at these entities, with regards to having certain expectations of board members who are sitting at these levels. And so I would have expected to hear him deliberate on such, rather than just speak to, oh, I moved this person, or I just moved this person. I don't know if further down in the conference that was done, or if it was done prior to this clip that you're showing here. But if that wasn't done, then it leaves a lot to be desired, because you are at a press conference, you are trying to remove yourself from such corrupt behavior at that level, then you need to hit the nail on the head. You need to hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and I'm happy, Garvin, that you talked about the level of preparedness for these press conferences, because the other two pieces that I have in particular speaks to that level of preparedness. And what we have happening here in Guyana is a puppet presidency. The world knows that. Guyanese knows that. It's a puppet presidency. So Irfan and Barrett seems to have two separate kinds of policies that are supposed to be governing this country. So I want you to take a listen, for instance, to Irfan talk about the campaign promise that they made to renegotiate the Exxon oil deals, plural. And then we have queued up a clip, an earlier clip with Mr. Jagdio. This was last year, talking about the same renegotiation of Exxon oil deals. And when you listen to it, one has to ask themselves, is Guyana a real place? Take a listen and then we come back on the other side.
Ensuring that we maximize the benefits, that we ensure that wherever there are areas that we can potentially relook at to maximize our benefits, those areas will be relooked at. There was no commitment, as you know, uh, to renegotiate in the manifesto, right? We said that we're going to relook at this to see the gray areas that we can maximize our benefits. But the future agreements, I've made it clear that the future agreement, every aspect of the development of those agreements will be shared, and the public will be kept informed.
We had made it clear that every contract, and Irfan Ali subsequently had a Facebook post hours after that it came out, which pointed out that his position has been the position that we always spoke about. How are we going to discuss, even if you go for better contract administration, if you don't review everything? Where the renegotiation comes in, we said we believe through better contract administration, we can get millions from Exxon. We are not committing to renegotiate the Stabroek PSA at this time. We're committed to renegotiate every other contract. We are saying that we believe that from better contract administration, from all the things I mentioned, I don't have to go back over them, that hundreds of millions of dollars can flow to us.
We have committed to ensuring that we maximize the
Guys, who do we believe here? Who do we believe? Whose policy are we following? Are we renegotiating these Exxon contracts, or are we not renegotiating these Exxon contracts according to Irfan? Who is leading this country?
Sharon, you know they're not renegotiating anything. They're not going to touch it because they know that as it was under coalition, that was the best deal. It was better than what they had with. I think I'm hearing a feedback, and I'm not sure if you're hearing it.
All we had before was just gas. Jagdio was just talking gas about renegotiation and all of that. This is like Global Witness. It's just propaganda to get into office. But when you obtain office, you walk back on all the promises.
I don't know who set up Irfan Ali to do that press conference today, but that has to be a setup, because the least one would expect is if the president of the country goes to have a press conference, he would be up to date and on par with questions that he should expect coming to him. Nothing about the responses given by him said that he was prepared at any level for the questions that the reporters asked of him, and that's very startling, because I can say if he was briefed on before the press conference, then that would even be worse. And Sharon, you would know that leading up to the 2020 election, the PVP went all over and they made the biggest scene about the oil contract and so forth. And that is when they would have been preaching all the time that they're going to renegotiate the contract and so forth. Like the clip you just played. So for the president to come today and to completely walk back on those words, sometimes you want to wonder who they take Guyanese for, what they want to believe that Guyanese are fools, like you just sitting there, and if they say something a month ago, they can come and change what they said today, and if we're going to be okay with it. That's not how people work. That's not
It's
what is
madness.
acceptable.
It's madness, Juretha. It is absolute madness. Garvin?
If you see, and okay, let's look at the issue. Let us say, as he indicated, that in their manifesto they did not speak to renegotiation. Let us just say that, because I don't think that that's really what was the reality of it. But let us just say that. Now, even if you hadn't this in your manifesto that you're going to renegotiate um, for a better deal. Having listened to what the vice president said sometime back, that everything will be renegotiated. Everything will be renegotiated. It therefore means one would think that you would have seen, when you were in opposition, you would have seen avenues through which you can get a better deal. Now you're in the driver's seat. Why are you backing out now? Now you're in the driver's seat, then renegotiate. If you saw it so well that you
Garvin,
could
that
have
is another guy
renegotiated,
oil. That is another guy oil operating at another level. That's all I can tell you.
I
There
think
is
that is
another
a
guy
case
oil
where
scenario happening at another level.
they talk about flaring. I think they flared so much they burnt out. I'm not even sure. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. But Sharon, what is important here again, like Juretha just said, the level of preparedness is seriously lacking. And even when you're looking in a paper in front of you, you still can't make much sense of what is written on that paper, because you're still pulling for words and pulling things out
I
of the
thought
sky and so on. So
I thought
it
university.
is, whoa. I don't
You
even
know, as
want
we
I don't want people in the Bahamas to see that press conference, because that's
well,
shameful for me. I'm telling you, it is
Garvin,
shameful.
if you don't want to see them to see what you've just seen, imagine what comes next. And as we look at
Oh
program
boy.
time, I want to play the final clip that we can show this evening, even though we have some others lined up. But this was a question you would think the president is always prepared for: the Venezuela question, the border question. 9 months in, the president calls a press conference. He says they've been talking about Venezuela all the time, but provided with another opportunity, he totally fails. Check out this, and we'll have some commentary on the other
My
side.
final question has to do with Venezuela. A few weeks, months, probably a month and a half ago, when we saw the fighter jets, Guyanese were taken by surprise. But it should not have been that way, because about 2 to 3 weeks prior to that, Venezuela had on their accounts, their online forums, that they intend to up the pressure on Guyana. They appointed a special commission for defense of Guyana's Essequibo territory, and decisions were made at the level of parliament to do certain things, yet Guyanese were taken by surprise. Is there a decision made by a government not to inform Guyanese on what is going on so that they can be prepared and be on the lookout for certain occurrences?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Representative. Respond and then we'll
Kiana,
Abina.
Abino.
Abina, sorry, Kiana. Uh, it is very unfortunate that you would say that we are not keeping Guyanese abreast. On every occasion that there was any activity in relation to the Venezuela issue, I addressed the nation. I addressed, and I don't want to say much on this issue because this is a sensitive issue that has to be managed in a particular way. And I think Guyanese understands that. And in understanding that, they know one thing for sure is that we are all on one on this issue. And whilst you may say Guyanese were surprised, I think many Guyanese were not surprised too.
What the hell is that? What
That
the
is,
hell is that? Quickly, guys.
that's cool. That's the clip for lack of representation. Sure. The fact that that he would even have the gall to say that the nation was kept informed throughout is just utter nonsense. You would remember as members of parliament when we had those fighters just flying over, a question had to be posed to the foreign affairs minister for the parliament to be updated on what is going on. A matter with that level of importance, the foreign affairs minister didn't think it wise to come to the parliament, as parliament was sitting at the time, to say this is what is going on. He had to be asked, he had to be requested, a request had to be made for him to actually update the parliament. And not only that, when he stood up to give an update, he basically went and pulled down the statement that was on DPI and read it back in the National Assembly. So for the president to say that they've been keeping the nation up to date, or as though they have been proactive at any level of this, is utter nonsense, as you would know. The question was well put by the reporter, and yet again, we're still awaiting a proper answer.
Garvin.
Sharon, having listened to the clips, all of the clips that you have played so far, it seems as though the prevailing atmosphere at this press conference is one of defense. It's almost as if you're just defending yourself all the time. And because of that, the responses were shallow, they lacked depth. There wasn't any depth. And so we couldn't get much out of this press conference. I mean, those questions were good questions. They were excellent questions that dealt with matters that are on the front burner at the moment. And so they're important. They're very pertinent matters. And so one would expect that the president's response would have been more in depth. It would have had depth, and we would have gotten to understand where the government's head is as it relates to these issues. But having listened to the responses, you wonder if they're really taking them seriously. The Guyana-Venezuela controversy is a very serious matter. This is border dispute, and this is very serious. And an issue like this, you should have tons of information to present to the general populace as it relates to where the country stands on the issue and what is your way forward as it relates to the agenda for dealing with such an issue. I understand that there are certain points, areas that are very sensitive and you may not want to divulge certain information, but divulge some information. They're information sensitive, and they're those that people need to know that are not of such sensitive nature, but you haven't divulged anything, you're just defending yourself. It leaves a lot to be desired. Looking at this press conference, I haven't carried away anything so far. I'm trying to figure out what's happening.
And thanks very much, Garvin. Garvin Blackman joining us out of the Bahamas. We have Miss Juretha Fanandes, who has joined us out of Guyana, member of parliament. Thanks to both of you, and also my colleague Randolph Critchlow from the Rush comes over at 5 p.m. in the afternoons, all over social media. Thank you guys for that bit. And thank you guys for joining us. We're out of time this evening, unfortunately, that we couldn't get some more of these clips. But if you have an hour and 53 minutes to waste, the press conference is also on the Office of the President's Facebook page, and you can go and have your fill of the nonsense which transpired this afternoon. An hour and 53 minutes of nothing. Folks, I commend it to you in case you think that we might have left out anything that is of consequence. It's on the Office of the President Facebook page and lots of other Facebook pages. You can, again, if you have an hour and 53 minutes of your life that you won't get back, go right ahead. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Thank you for having us, Sharon. Have a good night.
Great.
Have a blessed
Guys, as we say every evening, continue to mask up, continue to social distance, continue to sanitize, folks. COVID is real, and it is deadly. Continue to wear your mask, continue to sanitize, continue to social distance. It's only getting worse, especially home here in Guyana. We want you guys to stay safe. We want you guys around for a long, long time. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, it's Talk Back Thursday. Thanks for joining us this evening.